Welcome to another Explainer. Today, we're decoding a biological mystery that affects, well, pretty much all of us. The dreaded afternoon crash. You know the exact feeling I'm talking about, right? You eat something hoping for a quick boost, but instead, you just end up feeling completely drained and sluggish. We're going to explore this concept of a biological bait and switch, where the very foods and drinks we turn to for energy are actually, secretly, the things stealing it away from us. It's a really fascinating biological paradox, and by the end of this explainer, you're going to know exactly how to fix it.
So, let's talk about this universal pain point. Why do we crash so incredibly hard right around 3 p.m.? Look, if you find yourself reaching for a giant coffee or a sugary snack mid-afternoon, you are definitely not alone. Actually, up to 1 in 4 Americans experience excessive daytime sleepiness. But here is the critical question we really have to ask ourselves. Are our go-to fixes actually the secret cause of our fatigue? Like, are we literally eating our way into exhaustion?
Okay, here's our roadmap for today's explainer. We'll start with the daily energy crash, then break down the blood sugar roller coaster, and the adenosine caffeine trap. After that, we'll uncover some sneaky energy-draining foods, and finally, wrap up with science-backed fixes. Let's get right into it.
Section 1. The daily energy crash. Biologically speaking, food is fuel. It's supposed to refill our tanks, right? It provides the glucose and nutrients our cells need to manufacture ATP, which is basically the energy currency of our bodies. But the modern rush for quick meals introduces a lot of hidden traps. We're constantly in a hurry, grabbing heavily processed snacks just to get something, anything, in our stomachs. And these choices entirely disrupt our body's natural energy ebb and flow. They hijack our digestive and endocrine systems, turning what should be a slow, steady release of fuel into this chaotic biological event.
Section 2. The blood sugar roller coaster.
Think of your bloodstream literally like a roller coaster. When you eat refined carbohydrates, glucose steeply climbs and just floods your system. In response, your pancreas essentially panics. It releases this massive surge of a hormone called insulin to clear that glucose out of your blood and into your cells. But a lot of times it overcompensates, pulling way too much glucose out way too quickly. And that's when you experience that terrifying drop, a severe crash below your baseline blood sugar level. Over time, this constant spiking and crashing can lead to insulin resistance. That's where your cells just stop responding efficiently, forcing your pancreas to work even harder, which makes your fatigue so much worse.
Now, there's a really stark contrast between refined carbs and complex carbs. Processed grains, like white bread and white rice, have had their outer bran and inner germ totally stripped away. Without that fiber to slow things down, they cause rapid, violent glucose spikes. On the flip side, complex carbs and whole grains actually retain their fiber and nutrients. They provide a slow, steady burn, gradually releasing glucose into your bloodstream so your energy stays nice and stable.
So the crucial point here is identifying the culprits putting us on this awful ride. White bread, pasta, and rice, major offenders, but also sugary breakfast cereals. Guys, some of these contain up to 50% sugar by weight. It's wild. Even fruit can be a trap. Overripe bananas are basically pure sugar compared to their greener counterparts. And ironically enough, those little low-calorie snacks can trick you too. They usually lack the necessary calories to sustain your basic metabolic functions, which just leaves you totally drained and sparks vicious cravings later on.
Section 3. The adenosine caffeine trap.
To really understand caffeine, we first have to understand adenosine. Adenosine is essentially the tiredness molecule. As your cells burn energy throughout the day, adenosine is left over as a byproduct. The longer you're awake, the more adenosine accumulates in your brain. It binds to specific receptors, signaling to your body that, hey, it's time to slow down, and eventually go to sleep. And this is exactly what makes caffeine such a massive illusion. Caffeine does not magically create new energy. Because its molecular structure is so remarkably similar to adenosine, it actually sneaks into those exact same brain receptors and blocks them. You feel alert because your brain literally can't see the tiredness molecule anymore. But here's the catch. The adenosine doesn't just go away. It continues to build up in the background, just waiting for the caffeine to wear off.
To show you just how powerful this central nervous system mechanism is, there's this incredible animal study. Researchers found that injecting caffeine directly into the central nervous system of rats increased their treadmill runtime to fatigue by a massive 60% compared to a placebo. It absolutely proves that caffeine powerfully overrides our perception of fatigue.
But let's look at the rest of this data, because this is where it gets crazy. The control group ran for 76 minutes,
The caffeine group ran for 119 minutes. But when researchers injected a chemical called NECA, which actively mimics adenosine and forces those tiredness receptors to activate, their endurance was totally devastated, dropping all the way down to just 24 minutes. This proves that when the caffeine barrier finally breaks down and all that accumulated adenosine floods your brain's receptors all at once, the crash is biologically inevitable. You always have to pay back the energy debt.
Section 4. Sneaky energy-draining foods.
Let's break down the biology of some other hidden traps. A glass of wine might help you fall asleep faster, sure, but alcohol actually ruins your sleep architecture. It specifically reduces your restful REM sleep, leaving you exhausted the next day. Then you've got high-fat fried foods. These displace energy-boosting nutrients and take so much energy to digest that they literally slow your gastrointestinal tract to a grinding halt, causing major sluggishness. Salt-dried snacks, they trigger dehydration, which thickens your blood and forces your heart to work harder. And energy drinks just accelerate that caffeine-adenosine trap we just talked about, forcing you to build a tolerance where you need more and more just to feel normal.
Section 5. Science-backed energy fixes.
Okay, first, I want to introduce you to a brilliant hack: cooling your carbs to create resistant starch. If you cook rice, pasta, or potatoes, and then just let them cool in the fridge before you eat or reheat them, the actual chemical structure of the carbohydrate changes. It becomes resistant to normal digestion, meaning it really slows the release of glucose into your bloodstream. Another amazing hack is choosing slightly green bananas over those heavily spotted, overripe ones. The greener they are, the more resistant starch they have, which blunts those blood sugar spikes and actually feeds the good bacteria in your gut.
Let's walk through some super actionable swaps you can make today. Instead of starting your day with sugary cereals that just throw you right on the roller coaster, try oatmeal and eggs. You get sustained complex carbs and solid protein. Swap the white bread for true whole grains, swap out those overripe bananas for the greenish ones we just talked about, and rule of thumb, never ever eat solo carbs. Always pair your carbohydrates with a healthy fat or protein. Like, just put some nut butter on your apple or avocado on your toast. Doing that dramatically slows down how fast that sugar hits your blood.
Now, if you really want to optimize this, follow this simple step-by-step anti-crash procedure. Number 1, start your meals by eating your veggies or protein first and leave the carbs for last. This physically lines your stomach and slows digestion. Number 2, pair those smart carbs with fats. Number 3, add an acid. Seriously, squeezing a little lemon juice or adding a splash of vinegar lowers the pH of your meal, and science shows that actually slows down carbohydrate breakdown. And finally, take a quick 10-minute walk after you eat. It allows your muscles to immediately absorb the glucose from your meal, which practically stops the insulin spike before it even starts.
I want to wrap up with this final, kind of provocative thought. Are your meals fueling your day, or are they borrowing from your tomorrow? Every single time we reach for refined sugar or excessive caffeine, we are basically taking out an energy loan with a painfully high interest rate. But by understanding the biology of the blood sugar roller coaster and the adenosine trap, you can finally audit your plate and take real control of your natural energy cycle. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll see you next time.